Ambassador Velthor stood before the Galactic Council, his crystalline form trembling with what could only be described as existential dread. The holographic display behind him showed microscopic imagery that made even the most battle-hardened council members shift uncomfortably in their seats. 3 cycles ago, Velthor began, his voice modulator struggling to maintain composure, the Kresh Collective deployed the Omega strain against humanity. It was supposed to be the end of their expansion into our territories. The Kresh representative, a towering insectoid creature, clicked its mandibles defensively. The humans were expanding too rapidly. They were consuming resources, establishing colonies on worlds we had already claimed. The Omega strain was meant to be a deterrent. A deterrent? Velthor's form flickered red with anger. You created a pathogen specifically designed to target human DNA, a virus so aggressive that it could theoretically wipe out their entire species within a standard year. The council chamber erupted in disapproving chitters, hums, and electromagnetic pulses. Biological warfare was not forbidden. The galaxy was too diverse for such naive regulations, but using it against a species barely 2 centuries into space travel was considered poor form at best. The Omega strain worked exactly as designed, Velthor continued, pulling up data streams. Initial infection rates were catastrophic. 93% of humanity contracted the virus within the first 3 months. Their medical facilities were overwhelmed. Their colony ships became floating morgues. We calculated total extinction within 8 to 10 months. He paused, letting the weight of that genocide attempt settle over the chamber. But then something unexpected occurred. The holographic display shifted, showing a timeline of genetic markers and mutation patterns. What started as orderly viral replication gradually transformed into something far more complex. Dr. Sarah Chen had been among the first to notice it. Quarantined in the medical wing of Mars Station Gamma, she had spent her isolation studying her own blood samples. The virus was there, certainly, its distinctive protein spikes visible under electron microscopy. But it wasn't destroying her cells anymore. It was integrating with them. The virus began to mutate, Velthor explained, his voice carrying a mixture of awe and terror. But not in the way the Kresh had predicted. Instead of becoming more lethal, it became symbiotic. The Kresh representative shot up from its seat. Impossible. The Omega strain was genetically locked. It couldn't evolve beyond its primary function. You underestimated human biology, Velthor replied coldly. Specifically, you underestimated the chaotic nature of the human immune system. Humans, it turned out, were galactic anomalies. Their evolutionary path on Earth, a death world by any reasonable standard, had created an immune system that was less of a defense mechanism and more of an adaptive warfare suite. Millennia of fighting bacteria, viruses, parasites, and even prions had turned human immune cells into microscopic special forces units, capable of learning, adapting, and evolving in real time. The Omega strain had been designed to exploit weaknesses in cellular replication. What the Kresh hadn't anticipated was that human immune systems didn't just fight infections. They learned from them, incorporated them, and sometimes even recruited them. Within 6 months, the mortality rate dropped to near 0, Velthor said, advancing the timeline. By month 8, humans weren't just surviving the Omega strain, they were thriving with it. The hologram showed what human scientists had discovered. The virus had been effectively domesticated by the human immune system. Its protein markers were now being used as identification tags, allowing human T-cells to recognize and respond to threats faster than ever before. Its replication mechanism had been hijacked to produce antibodies at unprecedented rates. The Omega strain hadn't killed humanity. It had become humanity's immune system. The modifications aren't stopping, Velthor continued, and now his voice carried genuine fear. The virus continues to evolve within human hosts, but always in symbiosis. Humans exposed to Rigelian plague? The Omega strain adapted, incorporated the resistance, and distributed it throughout the population. Venusian toxin spores? Same result. They're becoming immune to everything. A council member from the crystalline hegemony pulsed a question through its light-based communication. What are you suggesting, Ambassador? That humans are now invulnerable? Not invulnerable, Velthor corrected. Adaptive. Every pathogen they encounter becomes data for the Omega strain. Every biological threat becomes a lesson that gets encoded into their genetic memory and passed on. In essence, the Kresh didn't just fail to kill humanity, they gave humanity a weapon. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. On Earth, Dr. Chen stood in her laboratory, examining the latest reports from the colony worlds. Children born after the Omega strain pandemic showed unprecedented immune resilience. They could survive in environments that would have required full hazmat suits just a generation ago. Radiation resistance, toxin filtration, even preliminary evidence of cellular regeneration. All gifts from the virus that was supposed to end them. She smiled, thinking of the old human saying, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger." The Kresh had tried to kill humanity with a virus. Instead, they had accelerated human evolution by centuries. The Council must decide, Velthor said, bringing up images of human colonies spreading across previously uninhabitable worlds. Do we continue to view humanity as a threat to be contained? Or do we acknowledge that the Kresh's actions have fundamentally changed the equation? The Kresh representative slumped in its seat, the weight of its civilization's mistake crushing down upon it. There is one more thing, Velthor added quietly. Human scientists are now synthesizing the Omega strain for other species. They're calling it a gift, an offer to share what was meant to destroy them. In the silence that followed, every species in the chamber understood the message. Humanity had been attacked with biological warfare and had emerged not with vengeance, but with an olive branch. It was the most human response imaginable, and the most terrifying. Because if humanity could turn a genocidal plague into an evolutionary advantage, and then offer to share that advantage with former enemies, what else were they capable of? The answer, Ambassador Velthor feared, was anything.